I want to talk about this administrative burden thing that we have to deal with.
Those clauses, those little nuances that really make the administrative burden of an insurance company difficult to deal with. Play ball, but play ball to win for yourself, right? They want to manipulate me out of the claim. I want to manipulate them to pay the claim, right?
They make good money, very good money.
This is just a battle.
We make dental billing and insurance easier to understand. Subscribe to stay updated and help us grow the channel.
And we are back with another Nobody Told Me That. I have a doctor this time. I went and found a doctor in the wild. So we are going to talk to a doctor. Dr. Christie Bateman is here. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
I am good. I'm excited to have you here. So I have become friends with you just recently, and I'm so glad because it's not often that I find another dentist that likes to talk insurance nerd shop stuff with me. So this is super exciting. So people who are listening, I know you all are my insurance nerds too. I want you to hear her point of view because she's been doing some really cool things with her state association. And I think this is another one of those episodes where we pull back the curtain so you can see what happens behind the scenes when it comes to insurance. And I know you guys really dig that. That's what I hear all the time. So you are in Ohio and you're 14 years out of dental school, 8 years as an owner in the practice. Tell me a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, so we are a private solo office here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We've had about 8 years trying out the private world. We did each work for other dentists first, which I always encourage to get your feet wet. And now here I am digging in hard to learn more about insurance, how to help all dentists take insurance and remain profitable, right? At the same time, to also increase access to care. It's really important that we all treat the patients. Middle America, most Americans have a PPO. So I'm just really passionate about understanding the insurance more to help doctors get more and help patients get more from it.
Yeah. Well, and you're in an area where Medicare Advantage is very, very prevalent. Ohio, Pennsylvania, very, very inundated with Medicare Advantage. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The other person that you were referring to is your husband. So you're in practice with your husband. How is that?
Yes, it is a joy as far as sharing childcare responsibilities. That's the main reason why we do it, is so that one of us can always be at the office and one of us always available for the kids. However, we have separate physical offices inside, meaning where our desks are. His is in the front and mine's in the back. And I try to keep a little bit of a line there and no talking about it at home ever.
It's tough, right? It's tough. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who are spouses of dentists. And that is the one thing they say is that, like, it follows us home. It's in the bed with us. And I'm like, ooh, that's awful. But I get it. Norman and I been married a long time. He's worked for my company for many years. And it's the same thing. Like sometimes I'll roll over and he'll be like, no, we're not talking about this.
Yeah, I'll be like, no, just tell me tomorrow. I'm like, you don't want to tell me right now. Trust me. I know you don't.
And another thing about you is that you are one of the few, and there's more coming, which is great, but you're one of the few dentists who joined Dental Revenue Network, my membership for RCM people, professionals. And when you joined, you like ripped through the resources. You were like absorbing everything. And I appreciate that about you because I was like, ooh, she is nerdy. I like this. So thank you for being one of the few doctor members. And I think it's going to be people like you who talk a lot about how understanding insurance makes you a better business person that's going to get the message across that, hey, you need to pay attention to the RCM piece a lot more than what you were before. So thank you for being a member. I appreciate that.
And thank you for the information. As I've shared with you, I think what DRN can do is provide us dentists with the real bare bones of information, the, dare I say, hidden truths, right? Dare I say, those clauses, those little nuances that really make the administrative burden of an insurance company difficult to deal with. And again, I'm passionate about believing that if we can lessen that administrative burden, make communication more clear between the provider and the insurance company. What do you want to pay this procedure? Period. Right? How can we lessen that? How can we make it more clear, bridge the gap? Those types of things. So DRN really can help doctors get to the bottom of the nuances quicker so that we then can take that information to the insurance, support you all, and just try to be a better advocate. But you have to have the information in order to advocate, right? And that's the hard part. A dentist is owning a practice. They have their own family still. we're fixing teeth, we're paying bills, all these things. So I don't blame the dentist, because how are we to learn, right? But I do think you're providing something that could give us more information in a more efficient way.
Thank you. Thank you. And one of the things that you've learned is that being active and having advocacy, meeting with the carriers has been very helpful. So let's kind of hone in on that. You're in an area where there's a lot of Medicare Advantage plans. You have certain carriers that you are just inundated with because that is just the dominant people in your area. So we're going to talk about how you had a meeting with them. But when you were starting out and being more involved in the Ohio State Dental Association, how was that journey? Was it easy to get involved? How much time is involved? Like, how does that fit in with your schedule?
So getting involved with them is more of a newer journey. I will say I did years of just boots on the ground practicing on my own. I should say that the first way that I learned dental insurance, and I will share this because I do recommend it for any of us who try to mentor young dentists. So my first year out of dental school, my father-in-law is a dentist. He has a very small practice. It's actually a Medicaid-based practice.
Yeah.
I went to him and I said, I want one room. His office is already paid for. It's very small. He's been doing this a long time. So I just want one room. I'm going to not have an assistant. I'm not going to have a front desk. I'm going to be all the people. So I'm going to treat the patients. I'm going to clean my room. I'm going to sterilize my instruments, and I'm going to bill my own things. And even if I had to prior auth it. So I did this for 1 year. For 1 year, I did the whole thing. Okay, I learned everything.
Yeah, you did.
In a nutshell. Did I make the most money that year? No. Okay, but I made money, right? Mm-hmm. Because my costs were low.
Yeah, no overhead for labor. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. Was it super annoying? Did I work a lot of late nights? Yes, but I didn't have kids yet. It was my first year out of school. Well, second year because I did a residency, but it was my first year practicing. So what I did was I learned, and it was a beautiful experience because I'm the one rendering the treatment, taking the x-ray and sending the prior auth, seeing what I get back, filing the claim. So I only had to do this for a year. I pretty much learned the basics, right? Then, funny enough, I took Teresa's online class, the one you had on the old Odyssey management site.
Yeah.
Remember, it was like all of insurance you could learn?
Yeah, that's like I don't even remember what I called it.
Yeah, but that is like it's verb heavy, right?
Yeah.
And noun heavy. But that takes you then from the real life knowledge to all the heavy words and the lingo, right? And then I'm like, okay, I know how to do it. I've learned some of the lingo. Then I felt like I started to prepare myself for battle. Because then I said, okay, now you're arming me. Now I'm the person doing it. I know the patient needs it. I know what you're asking for. So maybe that's the more I learned about it, the more I could jump through the hoops and say, no, got you anyways. Right?
Okay.
Play ball, but play ball to win for yourself. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I always joke about this too. They want to manipulate me out of the claim. I want to manipulate them to pay the claim. Right? I mean, this is just a battle.
It's a battle. It's a dance. We know where we're coming from. I mean, their goal is to make money. Our goal is also to make money. We just do things different ways. And, you're not going to see eye to eye because you make money by them paying money. It's just, you know what I mean? Like obviously you're already at some sort of odds there, but it doesn't have to be so combative and so ugly. And I feel like that's where it's gotten because so much emotion has gotten into it. And I think when you know the mechanics, it's such a big difference. Now, you probably messed up some claims in the beginning. Most offices do. Almost everybody does. And I think what a lot of doctors don't understand, the majority of the rejections that the clearinghouse get are not carrier rejections. It's us screwing things up. We have bad information. We have the wrong codes. We don't send in information. So when you start learning, like when my side is smooth and I know I'm doing the best, then there must be an issue over here. So let's investigate it. I think you're at that point now where you're like, okay, well, what are you guys doing over there? That's impacting me over here. And that's important for them to learn. Yeah.
And then how can we just ask the right questions to fall on the truth and the solutions, like you said, rather than making it begrudging? They want money, they want a profit, we want a profit. But I think the important piece that I want to get everyone back focused on that they have to in the public eye is, yeah, you want a profit, I want a profit, but the patient's well-being is most important. And them getting the care they need is still most important. Insurance was created for Americans to get coverage for their healthcare, right? Whether it's medical or dental. Profit aside, we can't lose sight of that. I am a first generation graduate. My mom didn't even graduate high school. No one in my family has gone to college, let alone to pursue a doctorate. So I really help dentistry and my community and everyone straddle that economic hurdle of I've lived on each side of that economic panel. So when I was a child, we had food stamps and I was on Medicaid and all of these things.
Okay.
Now I'm a dentist that can self-fund my own insurance and buy myself whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
But there is so much wisdom in realizing that power and having both. The empathy and understanding I have for the people below me is just something you can't give someone. You can't teach that, right?
Right.
So I do try to use that to get the insurance to realize what they're doing, right? So like I had another dentist I was talking to this week say to me, have you seen what's going on in Canada with their dental care? It's a travesty. A third of them don't have access to dental care. I said, sir, do you know what the statistics are in this country? I quickly Googled it. It's 30 to 35% of Americans do not have an annual dental visit. Okay. That's where we are.
Wow.
So that's 89 to 100 million Americans not having a dental visit. Well, that's what we tell the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how we get them to come to the table. And then why does this other dentist not know that? Are we all having false ideas living in our wonderlands of what our healthcare system is providing Americans?
I mean, maybe.
Right? But I think that there's hopeful truth there. I think we can get more people insured. I think we can really get the insurance to understand that they're shooting themselves in the foot. It's like, oh, you don't want to cover more preventive care? Well, then you're going to pay it more down the line, right?
Right.
All these things. Can we give them an incentive to get involved?
I remember being at an insurance meeting a long time ago, and I was sitting next to somebody, and it was one of the first people that wasn't afraid to like tell me the behind the scenes on how these things work. And he said, yeah, we'll cover preventive, but even if we don't cover preventive, the chances of this patient having this insurance in 2 years is not good. So at some point, I mean, it's just a matter of kicking the can around. Like somebody's going to have to get benefits. It's just, you just hope you're not the one with the policy that when they do need to get the benefits. But now there's so many people on, and I feel like dentists say a lot, there's less caries and all that kind of stuff. But when you have a group of patients who are my age or baby boomers, like they all need stuff replaced. Like you guys are super, super busy. And you were saying like you are the quintessential, like you just very busy, bread and butter dentist. You're super busy. You can't fit them. I mean, you are super busy. And you've been able to do this being a PPO office, but also running it smartly so that you're not losing money. That's the number one thing. Like, just don't lose money. Like, that's what I want. Be profitable. I want to talk about this administrative burden thing that we have to deal with. So it's increased exponentially, definitely. But there's little things that I don't see as administrative burden as much as it could be a recapturing of revenue. And I know this is something that you're passionate about. Like administrative burden to me, there's a little bit that comes with it because there's a little bit of admin time that needs to be done in order to submit a claim. Okay, great. If they continually reject it and you're continually having to deal with it, yeah, that's totally an increase in administrative burden. But just appealing a denial is part of the process. And I don't know if people understand like how important that one piece of the process is. And this was kind of something that you love to talk about. So do you want to explain that, what I mean by that?
Yes. Thank you for touching on this. And you even mentioned it to me. It is twofold. So as the dentist, we always have a little wool over our eyes because we're in the chair fixing the teeth and we have all these people out front doing these things for us. So the first thing you mentioned to me was, well, what if the person up front isn't even bringing the denials to the dentist? So that's the first thing I'm going to say is as the dentist, you need to, I've had to make it a point to my front desk nicely. Hey, I want to know the denials. I even just made a little letter bin on a desk and I said, let's drop them here. This isn't just your problem, right? And I know I have the words and the knowledge to get that overturned, right? So I'm going to help you bridge this gap. First of all, I want the denials to be kind of public so we're not scared of them. We're going to put them right here. We're also going to put them here because I'm going to overturn them, right? And I want like a physical visual of like, those are the things I'm going to overturn this month. So then I'll go further to say, once you as the dentist are being made aware of the denials, I look at them. It'll either usually, you'll understand this. It'll usually say it's not allowed in the plan or it's, it's a denial based on a real insurance reason, which we just have to meet. or something's missing, right? Whether it's an x-ray, a greater clinical diagnosis, whatever they want. You could use the example of scaling and root planing and then wanting more about the bone loss, right? You could say, oh, the most famous one that always gets talked about is the cracked tooth.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
but it doesn't show on the x-ray. Okay, so how do you get this approved every time? Coming from the dentist herself who's met with the insurance executives? Well, the number one best way every time, they told me from their own mouth, is a photo. So if you just want to avoid everything, just take a photo that shows the crack. I know this is hard to get. I do it myself, the lighting, this and that. And then if you really, really want it, use a tooth sleuth. Because according to the ADA and all literature, the tooth sleuth is how we diagnose cracked teeth, right? So take an x-ray if you want, but my photo and my tooth sleuth will do that. So there's that part. Then secondly, the dentist just has to write a sentence. So I can verify that at least 80% of my denials, maybe more, get overturned just by me simply responding. They say, oh, she can't have this. Her dental health doesn't qualify for it. And then I say, no, she has this many remaining teeth. She might have 5 millimeters of bone loss, but these teeth have no mobility. This is her age. Yeah. This is how many years she's paid her premiums. And you're going to give her that partial denture. And I'm going to put it on those good teeth. And then I always sign it with, if you would like to know anything more, here's my cell phone number. Because you know what that lets them know? That lets them know I am willing and ready to talk about it. And I know they don't want to talk about it. Okay. Right. So I get no kickback. But these are things I want to share because I know other doctors think, including my husband, which is why I write them all. He's like, oh, I don't even have time for that. Oh, it's too much. I don't even know. Right? But 2 sentences, I get my way 8 to 9 times out of 10.
So it's important to note, though, his reluctance to do this is because he doesn't do it all the time. And once you do it a couple times, it's like, I guess it's like any procedure you do. It gets easier and easier. Like now you know exactly what to say.
Exactly.
But it's so key what you said. I don't think dentists realize this. The majority of claims that are denied, sent back to the office with no payment, typically go uncontested. And the plan all had the stats to bear this out. So, a little bit of pushback and make your case, because if you really feel it, then make your case. And then, of course, the patient then sees you're going to bat for it, because if you don't push and you don't get it paid, to me, that sends a subliminal message that it wasn't that important. And the patient's like, well, did I really need to get this paid? Well, I guess if they didn't pay it, at least I got it for free. I guess she's not going to charge me for it. And I think that's a terrible message to send. So if you firmly believed you needed to do it, then why wouldn't you fight to get it covered? And your stat that you just said is what I like to teach in classes. I think you should be able to get 80% of your appeals overturned. There are going to be times when the clause is there, like there's no removables. Yeah, there's just no metal. That's, of course. So, and we should have caught that in the beginning. Let's be honest.
Waiting periods.
Yeah,
little things.
Things like that. But if it's a clinical decision, a lot of times having that peer-to-peer, just that first conversation, but if it does go to peer-to-peer, just being polite. And I've talked to so many consultant reviewers that are just like, you know what, if the doctor is a jerk, I'm going to buckle down too, because why are you coming at me like this? And there's this whole thing like being nice is, why aren't people just nice? Just be nice. You don't have to
diplomatic, right?
Diplomatic, just nice. It's diplomatic. But you've got a point of view, so do they. Let's just meet in the middle a little bit.
Yes.
So I love that you're sending that in. And you probably will be able to talk to other dentists a lot easier about it than I am, because they'll sit in my classes and say, oh, yeah, okay, Teresa, well, I got to write an appeal. And it's a lot of work. But when you're talking to your colleagues, like you can say, no, you just write this, you make sure it's this, and then strengthen the clinical notes so that you don't have to do that anyways. But yeah, like I love that you're talking about this. It needs to be said by a dentist who knows what they're talking about and is ethical. I love that you're coming at us with that knowledge.
But you're reminding me too that the other troublesome part of this is, okay, so I tell the other dentists, and I even felt this at the meeting. A few of the dentists were taking the insurance I was taking, but didn't have the knowledge. And when they would hear me say these things, you could see their eyes light up like, how can I get a hold of you to do this with me?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of people like Teresa and Colleen Huff. And, you two are what I think some of the most knowledgeable about dental insurance. Mm-hmm. And I think, well, what about all of us? I don't even know how to phrase this, that just have people working in our front office, right?
Mm-hmm.
That don't know a lot of this because there is no formal training.
I know. And that's why
insurance and office managers. So I'm not going to go off on that tangent, but I do see that's a little bit of a problem, right? Like there's medical coding, which I'm not saying I just want dental coding, but because you brought this up, Teresa, the dentist isn't receiving the denial. So first step is like the staff has to get that to them.
Yep.
But then how do I even, in this world of staffing shortages and just again, there's no school for this. There's no, because all the dentists that were there with me, I just kept thinking, okay, I know and I can tell them. But now when they go back to their offices, what if they tell their front desk and she's just like, and this does happen all the time. Sorry to let everyone know. They're just like, oh, that's too complicated. Little does Dr. Joe know. I don't even have time to do that. So I'm just going to keep putting these checks in and putting those away. And he's just never going to see them, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how to fix that yet, but it is on my mind.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, it's the struggle. I mean, I definitely appreciate the dentists who send their teams to my classes. I mean, we just did a whole virtual event, dental insurance in a day, and it was packed. We had like 70 people there, and a lot of them were team members. And the fact that a dentist is going to pay the team member to go to a class and absorb it, like that's an investment in the practice. But when you're strapped, and to another point that you had, what if the person that's at the front, is not the person that should be learning it? You know that they're going to be gone. Like it's hard to invest in someone you don't think is going to stick around. But unfortunately, someone's got to do it, right? So there's resources out there, but I get it. As a business owner, you want to make sure that your money is well spent. Now, the ADA just released some coding classes, just revamped coding classes, and I haven't taken them. My only issue with the ADA classes is that traditionally it's been taught by dentists, and sometimes their delivery style is not great, and they are not the ones actually doing the claims. So I feel like insurance is a brutal topic for those of us. For you and I are fine with it. It's a brutal topic for people who don't like it. You have to make it entertaining. You have to make it like easy to digest. And I feel like that's why I've been able to make an impact, because I got to crack jokes. I got to make you understand, like, you're not the only one going through this, So I do hope that more dentists will understand that there does need to be the education there. Now, but interestingly enough, you were saying in this meeting, so let's talk about this meeting.
Yes.
They're in. What was the meeting and why? And well, let's just go through that. What are we like? Let's take it baby steps.
So first of all, Teresa shared on DRN this year that the biggest winners and losers in the Medicare Advantage arena. So the biggest winners this year, we all know, were Liberty and Anthem, also called Elevance Health, right? So therefore, in my home state of Ohio, we have been inundated with Liberty Medicare Advantage plans. Like I know them by name, and so does everyone in my office this year. But we didn't know them by name last year, but now we're all like, Liberty, Liberty, Liberty. So wouldn't you know, the ODA received a whole slew of letters, some big complaints, some light complaints, myriad of complaints. So we decided to get them on the line. We got them in the room, and I was pretty pleased. We got a lot of answers. The biggest, let's just go right for what was the biggest bone at the table. And this was the ODA president, all the people, the dental benefit committee, all of these people with the insurance executives. And all the dentists in the room kind of were just coming to these insurance executives and saying, and if anyone uses Liberty Medicare, they're going to know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Everyone's like, you guys with this prior auth thing, you won't pay anything unless we prior auth it. You want pre-op proof. You want post-op proof. Basically, Liberty was in this holding pattern this year of just asking for more administrative data, no matter what you did with them. Okay. After a small amount of time, I, of course, nailed it down because I was like, let me see what they want. Right. But all these other dentists, again, who don't go on the portals, whose office managers aren't doing these things, they're just like, it's all getting denied. We don't know why. Right. And I said, well, the first thing I learned dealing with Liberty this year was apparently they have a rule that you have to prior auth everything. And I mean basically everything, okay, except cleanings.
And you found that in the policy manual?
Actually, I'm not going to lie. I found it first by trial and error.
Okay. Well, that's because I'm just. But I understand.
Yeah, but meaning I got a denial, right? And I was like, oh, okay, it was baseless. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And are you making this up that you want to just do this way, and you're just going to do it this way out of nowhere? You want me to pre-D everything? Like. They were asking for PAs on fillings. If you did an anterior filling, you had to have an anterior PA. How did I learn that? The claims got denied. Again, I'm living this live, guys, with you, right? Like I just go to work every morning. Yeah.
Were they paying for the PA? Like that you have to submit? Okay. Well,
they don't even care.
there's there. Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it's just making hoops. So I think there's a few ways to get denials. Auto adjudication is going to throw some denials. Everybody has to remember this is statistics. Anything they cannot pay, they're going to take the bone, right? So again, you people don't contest your denials. Okay, they got some money, right? Auto adjudication sends back some denials that are completely false. They get the money. This was the same thing. You don't send the prior auth and you don't look into it and find out that the rule is just that you need a prior auth. You don't get it, right? So that's not me though. I like to win. So I said, fine, I'm prior authing everything. I'm getting everything paid for starting today, right? We went a little x-ray heavy for like 2 months just to shore it up, right? And be like, what do you want? Then I got a meeting with them. So then we sit in the meeting and all these dentists, and a few of them were pretty mad, not me. Mm-hmm. This guy's like, I've just had it. It feels like you're making us prove this. Okay. They were like, how is this a relationship between you and us if you're just accosting us for proof, right? And the insurance people are like, yeah, we kind of get it. And then this dentist was like, and to top it off, what are you accosting us for? To catch the 1 to 3% of dentists that are committing fraud? Is that what you're doing this for? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, we're trying to catch fraud. And he's like, okay, so you realize you're making the other 95, 98% of us jump through all these hoops every time so you can catch those like 2 guys doing fraud. And then even further, he said, and I want you to know from all of us sitting here, we don't want that guy. And we want him caught. And we don't want him in network. And we want him barred from the insurance, right? Realize right now we are on the same team.
Absolutely.
Then they started to hear it a little more. We said, so we're not going to keep sending post-op x-rays of our crowns, people. Okay. Because this is what they were asking for. They were asking for post-op on a lot of things. And it felt like they were making it up claim by claim. But it was just so much. They wanted pre-op here, post-op there. You couldn't keep track. Basically, you just had to have an x-ray of the tooth within the past few weeks. Okay. And nobody knew what to do. And things would get denied based on it. Okay. This wasn't like small fries. So then we're sitting in the meeting, and this is where I got the info, and I'm happy to share from the bird's mouth. She's like, yeah, basically when the the peer reviewers and these insurance reviewers are looking at x-rays, there's just so much they can't see. Mm-hmm. And they kind of want to be more sure. Okay. So they want photos. We basically got them to say they will not require the post-op PA as long as there's a photo. And they say they're going to change the rule. Yeah. Wow. That's what they say.
Well, that's much easier.
I wrote down exactly what they said. Oh, because that's how I got them. So yeah, hold on, wait. So that's actually what I brought up. Because they were trying to say that the x-rays were to prove. The other dentist was like, I'm a dentist. Why do I have to prove? And I was like, buddy, they already don't trust us. We already know that, right? I'm like, we got to get to something else here. I wish that were the case, but the healthcare is insurance prescribed and we're fighting this, right? Yeah. So then I said to the lady, I said, well, this is 2025. You know what we're fighting with fluoride? I said, if you think it's easy for me to convince a patient for more x-ray exposure in this holistic world, he said, you're crazy. I said, and you know what I'm telling your consumers and my patients when you require that x-ray? I'm nicely letting them know that their insurance requires it. Okay? And good. Her face sank and she stopped right there and she said, oh my God, you're right. I didn't even think about that people don't want the radiation.
Yeah.
I said, girl, I can't radiate another patient and not get flack for it. I said, I'm lucky if I can take bite wings, let alone an extra PA. Like, this is what the public thinks today. Again, like they're already trying to not use fluoride. And I just am stunned. It comes from rock.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. So then but I was so excited that I came upon a new idea, brought it up to her, and she was like, oh, it clicks. And she was like, that's real. Yeah, you're right. Those are our consumers.
I love it.
They don't want me to do that to them. Yep. So then again, I learned in that moment, the more we can help the insurance understand that they might lose dollars by not making the insurance work for the patient, which is also working for me.
Yeah.
I can get them to the table. So that's how I got her to say, okay, we're going to rewrite the rule. And this might only be Ohio. But she said, yeah, from now on, we'll take a photo.
That's amazing.
Proof.
That's amazing. And so congratulations on that. And I think this underscores completely that if we talk to each other, there's definitely some progress to be made because they're not out there. I promise you, they are not waking up every day thinking of ways to screw us over. They are mandated to make money. The employer mandates, cost savings here and there. And if you can point out that this is better for the patient and they still achieve their goal, I mean, wow, that's awesome. And I'm not going to promise that every conversation with a carrier is that easy, but I think these are great beginnings. These are great steps. And you understood what needed to be said to make the point. I mean, it's brilliant. And I said to you on DRN, you were sharing, that I'll tell you later, but here's this. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And I really I was like, she gets it. This is awesome. So I'm happy.
So, and the most exciting part about that, I think, as a dentist, as a human at this meeting, was that I didn't make that up. I just spoke from the truth and my heart of what I'm seeing in practice. And it was hopeful that when I shared that real boots on the ground info with them, that they were receptive. And again, just remembering that those patients are their subscribers. And without subscribers, they don't have a company. And why do all of us forget that? Why do we forget that's our leverage, right? So I just kept reminding them in the meeting that their subscribers are my patients. And I will continue to inform my patients and educate my patients about what their insurance has me do for them to get treatment, right? And that was really a graceful segue. Then we started to have a conversation about what is going on with, and I told them this, I said, so your Liberty, your Anthem, I deal with both of them. I take both of them. I said, I guess I won't say it. I won't say which ones I don't like. Some give me more of an administrative burden than others, and I can't get a hold of them. I would say my biggest frustration is when I can't get a hold of the people, right? So we shared with them that at the bottom, Liberty sends this thing back on their EOB, and it has a doctor's name and a phone number, okay? And it says you can call this number to talk about the EOB, whether the payment, the denial, whatever. No one has ever answered that number or called back, okay? Never.
You've called that number.
Oh, 20 people in the room had called the number endless times, okay? So I'm here with my people. I'm so, hey, we got to talk about the fact. And she wrote it down. She admitted it. She was like, oh my God, that's terrible. We were
picturing this random payphone in Brooklyn just ringing and ringing. And
we were and there's the person's name. So what was cool though, is the woman that was in charge of our local stuff in Ohio. Mm-hmm. Again, this is the power of communication, and I just want to get so much more of it. She was stunned. She was like, oh my God, that doctor isn't answering that phone. Wow. She was like, that's a real problem. But hold on, everyone take for a moment that she would have never known he wasn't answering the phone if the ODA didn't have this meeting to pull them in. So I'm so curious about how we get more ears of them, right? That helps her. Yeah. She can't resolve things if that person's not answering the phone. Furthermore, Liberty's paying that guy to answer the phone.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking. This guy they must think he's handling everything.
Yeah, and he's contracted. Yeah. He's a dentist that's contracted. He's supposed to be taking these peer-to-peer calls, right? She was visibly shocked that he was not taking the calls. Wow. And she was like, okay, I'm going to write it down. And she did. She was like, yeah, I definitely got to take that up the ladder. Yeah, right? So that, again, that's hopeful. Last hopeful thing they talked about was we talked about in-network providers. So we all know they want more of these, right? We all hear them complain. And then Teresa, you and I hear all these dentists saying, I'm just going to go fee for service. I'm going to get out of the network. It's too hard. It pays too little.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So me being a big in-network provider, just because, honestly, it's because I'm here for the middle class. I don't want to let it go. I'm just so hopeful that we're going to hold on to it. We're going to grow it, and it's still going to be the meat and potatoes and fabric of America, right? So I talked to them and I said, all right, I've been a network provider all these years. I'm super knowledgeable. I follow all the rules. I can tell you your own rules. I'm a dentist sitting here in your face. I said, at what point do I get some loyalty in return? I'm just asking what the point is. Is there a lever, a leverage, some type of something I can hit that has at some point proved my honesty, my loyalty, my knowledge, any of it, right?
Yeah.
Work with me. I've been seeing your patients all these years. I know I have so many of them. I'm staying in. I haven't dropped. So again, when you put me under extra administrative burden, when you deny my claims, when you make it hard for me, how are you helping yourselves? Because your subscribers need doctors. And again, their faces were floored. They were like, oh, she said that so well. That is so insane to think about. And then the guy stopped and he goes, okay. He goes, well, I'll tell you something we're thinking of. And I said, okay. And then this might be somewhat confidential, so I won't share too many words, but they were toying around with an insurance gold card. Have you heard of this yet?
Yes.
A provider gold card. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got them to agree rated
idea.
It is.
Okay.
And I said, I'm coming for it. Right. So my speech made them say, yeah, we've talked about a provider gold card, right? Where say I've hit whatever, they're going to be able to set the benchmarks. Okay. Go ahead. You set the benchmarks. I'll meet them in X amount of time. I'm guessing it'd be a 1 to 3 year period. It's going to be longer than we want, but okay.
Right.
Once I've hit those benchmarks, can I just have a pass, like literally a gold card? And they said their idea is that the gold card would be issued 1 year at a time. Everything would just go through for that provider. These are in-network providers we're speaking of. You would just have like a clean run. The only caveat is that you could be audited while you're in there. Of course.
But you already can be audited anyways.
Yes, but the insurance guys said it as if I would ask for that to not be there. And again, that shows how we're not on the same page, right? Because I said, I just want in because I'm following the rules. He's still worried about me not following rules. I almost wonder if we could help them catch fraud so that they would realize we're more on their side. Oh, I'm like, it's not us, right? No, that's what they want, Teresa. That's all they care about.
Because it's so exponentially, it's such a hit on their bottom line.
It is.
And I do think that there is a way for us to help with that, because if you think about it, the team members that are in the offices, they know. I mean, probably once a week on average, I'll get an email or a message from someone saying, my dentist is doing something shady. Do I have liability involved? And the answer is yes, you do, because, you can't just say, well, they told me to do it. It's just like, they told you to sell drugs. That doesn't count. Like, you can't just say somebody else told me to do it. And so I do think that there's a lot more wise billing people out there that realize that what they're being asked to do. And there's a lot of dentists that make up codes and then they say, hey, it's not a code that's in the ADA code book, so therefore it's a non-covered code. Like, we all know that that's shady. So I think if the insurance companies were to say, hey, let us know if something's happening here. And there is a program out there. I don't want to go this far because I think then you get really kind of mercenary, but there are whistleblower programs out there.
Yes.
And I don't know if dentists realize this is very big in medical because there is no loyalty there. Like, there's a lot of people that will go work in an office, find out if there's something wrong and then blow the whistle. And then they make good money, very good money. I don't think dentistry, it's quite like that, but are we getting there? Yeah, as we become more corporate. I mean, look at what just happened to the Mid-Atlantic Dental Partners, the associate, it was the head of hygiene, one of the hygiene department heads that did the whistleblowing on them and said, hey, they're using the tax ID number of a dentist that's not even there to bill because the other dentists aren't credentialed yet. She turned them all in and huge, huge fines. That was from somebody that was wrestling with her conscience for a while. So I do think the insurance companies, if they want to know who is the bad person doing it, because if we get rid of those bad players and lower those numbers, then my gosh, they're not going to scrutinize us as much. They still will, because they should monitor our employees, right? Like, we check to make sure they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So a gold card where they're able to say, hey, once every 2 years, we're going to do some looking. You're never going to know when. So what? We're subject to that now anyways. Who cares? Yeah.
But they're saying the gold card would do away with 99% of the administrative burden.
Absolutely.
We were talking about prior auths and denials and just incessant documentation, right?
I agree.
And not documentation for the chart, but just for the insurance, right? 2 more X-rays and a paragraph.
The extra documentation.
Yes, the extra that's just for them, right? Because we're like, we have to hit it out the park because we can't afford the time on this, right? Those types of things. I think those are the things I want to focus on. Those are the conversations I want to have. And just the fact that when I spoke my heart to them as an in-network provider and said, I don't feel you have loyalty to me. And I feel I have a lot of loyalty to you. You know what I mean? I'm taking this hidden reimbursement. Again, there was a public Facebook post I told Teresa in my neighborhood recently that said, just anyone out here besides this doctor and this doctor take United Concordia? There was 2 of us. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why are you asking me for anything at this point? I should be telling you how this is going to go, right?
Exactly. You've got the majority of their patient base, so why not pay attention and see if there's anything they can do better? I think there are companies that are really starting to think about how it's coming across. And I mean, here's one example, Guardian. I was in the call with them. They're actually going to come and do a focus group with DRN. But they said to me, the team said to me, there's got to be more to being an in-network dentist than just having the Guardian logo. We have to make sure that they're happy being in-network dentists. And I was like, wow, it's taken a couple of years to finally hear that. This is awesome. So maybe the tide is turning a little bit. I'm hoping.
I think it is. Yeah. I think consumers I use the example of just like consumers getting the artificial dyes out of our food, right? Yeah. So I've been on that for 5 to 10 years. A lot of us have. Mm-hmm. I want the public to realize that all they did was complained, stomped their feet. They quit buying the products, right?
Yeah.
We shopped it out. It took years. Nobody likes how long it takes, right? But we did it. Mm-hmm. We're here. It's going away. I think the more that the patients know, and you and I have talked about this, how can the ADA or us or anyone develop an educational piece for the patients about choosing their insurance plans, right?
Yeah.
They are our advocate too, the consumer. They have to buy the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can get them to buy better plans, then we do more business with better insurance companies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Machine.
Why wouldn't we tell the patient this plan that you are thinking of buying is not going to give you any benefit? Why wouldn't we do that? And how grateful is the patient going to be that we just saved them some money and some heartache, you know? And over the years being in Northern Virginia, working with the federal government, when patients ask which FEP plan, and we tell them straight up, this one, not going to get much. We're not going to tell you what to do, but this one's not going to be great. This one's going to be better. When you give them that honesty, they're so grateful. People come back.
And they do it every time.
Every time. My doctor is out of network. He's been out of network for almost everything. And he's like, he's killing it. Same thing. And it's because
even when I school them on the in-network plans,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, this one has a way higher max. It covers implants. You can literally get everything you want. Just choose that one. They're like, oh, thanks. So I think one thing Teresa and I dream of is like a national education tool, right? Yeah. Something, I dream of like what do they call it? Like a PSA ad on TV.
Right.
Like a get out the vote campaign is what I want it that big.
Yeah, a public service announcement. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be the ADA doing it. I think they've got so many things else that they need to worry about. Although, what a unifying message that would be amongst the constituency. But, you know, it is what it is.
So we're still here to push it though, right? Consumerism is power. I think that because it's happening with the food dyes and so many things, we should use that as a little momentum, right? Mm-hmm. To flow into it and say, oh, consumers are just becoming more aware right now, right? Yeah. Some of the stuff they're kicking back at isn't true or correct. Some of it is. Any of us who have any of these professional positions up here, we have to realize the responsibility of educating them and speaking up. Like, yeah, I'm trying to speak up to the ADA that I want it to be bigger. I want it to be a full PSA. I want there to be a PSA about fluoride. I want there to be one about dental insurance. Mm-hmm. I want someone to be reachable for a human being who wants an answer. Like, say this is kind of your idea with the video, but like, how could you make something where patients are shopping for insurance at home, Medicare Advantage will say, they get to a part where they just have a real specific question that they need to know. Who can they call, Teresa, right there and get an answer?
Yeah. It should be either their trusted dentist or the carrier would be very clear, but you're right. We don't have like a voice. And my idea that we talked about earlier, she referenced the video, is what if every office had a video on their site that said, you know, here's what you should know about Medicare Advantage. And we're not saying do this, do that, but here's the basics you should know so that when you do the shopping, your eyes are open. You know, don't buy a plan. If you've got a mouthful of silver fillings, don't buy a plan that has a waiting period. Like, that doesn't make sense. So, or no coverage for crowns. So yeah, it's a matter of educating the public, which is always a long game, right? But you're saying you're pushing the ADA, but you're also doing it at the state level. So just talk real quickly about how, you know, is it easy to get involved? Like, what do you expect? Like, what's her time commitment to it? Because it's, you know, I know everybody's out there so busy. So what does that look like for you?
So I'm first going to say this in case any other dentists feel this way, because I think it's a very, very natural and true sentiment. So for years, I would go to ADA and ODA things, but I would never get involved because I felt like it was pointless, right? Because I feel like bureaucracy is immovable. I feel like all the people in the positions have been in them so long. It felt like just like signing up to watch this kind of Jurassic Park type thing. And no, it just felt like more of a show than a thing. And I just felt like, you know what, why? Like, they're just old people. They want to sit around and talk about the same things, And that's why I'm going to be honest in case people feel this way, because I thought there was just no reason. And then I heard a few female dentists speak who had recently taken positions. One is that Sarah Stufen. She's the youngest, delegate or trustee, one of the two.
Yeah. I've seen her face. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've listened to some stuff of hers, and she's a dental insurance fan as well. And I said, okay. I said, look at her. And then I was talking to some people out here that had held positions and are now kind of retired, but they had held presidential positions and things. And they said, we really need more people to get involved. Change just isn't going to come without action type thing, right? And then I just went to a meeting, and I want everyone to know that they do want young blood so much that they were very receptive and helpful. And they were kind of like, hey, we can lessen the time commitments for you. Like my local society, they used to meet 10 times a year for committee and appointed positions. Now they're down to 4 or 5, and they're doing that on purpose because they want people my age in there. And I have young kids and I have to practice, right? So they did that, number one. Yep. They went down to 4 times a year.
Okay.
They also were just very willing to meet me where I was. Hey, if you can come to just as much of this as you can. They were like, just come to this meeting at the local society. We want to give you an appointment. So they kind of you get a local appointment, then you get a state appointment. Then from there, you can get ADA appointments, right?
Okay.
I just realized, okay, I might not agree with what a lot of these old guys are saying and doing. However, I quickly realized I couldn't make change if I didn't get in. So as pissed as I was or as angry as I was, I had to get in to affect real change. So then I just slowly started diving in, and they were very receptive. My favorite part of the last meeting, after meeting with the insurance executives, the executive chairman stood up next to me and he said, well, everyone, thanks for coming, and they're clapping. And he goes, and all I know is if we ever have to go to a fight, I want Dr. Bateman with me.
That's great.
Because I was embarrassed and thrilled. I was like, oh, is that, do you mean that in a good way? Or he was like, no, you just took it to him, but politely, and you knew all the things to say. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
I want you to think I was a real fighter. That would not be a compliment. But that's the encouragement for all of us, right? Is we have to learn what the rules are of the game to play it better. If we do that, maybe we can hold the gavel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
And I think there's something that we need to understand that they don't a lot of times understand our side of it. Some of them came from practice, but a lot of them are not. And I just gave a class to a whole room of insurance executives in April, and it was what goes on at the front. And so many of them, the reviews were like, this was enlightening. We didn't know. So I think we have to learn from each other, and coming at each other with gloves on that's not cool. Nobody's no progress is going to be made. And when you sit and have a meal with them, it's fine. We can find ways. And if you don't agree with my point, at least have the decency to tell me why. And that's where I start learning, is when they say, we could do that, but here's what would happen. And then I go, oh, and then we say the same thing. We could do that, but here's what would happen. And they, the same thing. So I love that you've got that attitude, and it's not this, we're riding into war, but it's mutually beneficial in the same way, because like you said, the ultimate participant, the ultimate beneficiary is the patient, which is what we're all here for. I mean, we're not just riding into war against each other because we like it. We're here to make sure that the patient gets the best experience.
So yeah, who wants conflict, right? We all want solutions.
Yeah. Are you a dental biller feeling overwhelmed and isolated? I get it. The world of revenue cycle management is complex and ever-changing. That's why I created Dental Revenue Network. Our membership community was created to help you become a better revenue cycle manager and small business operator. Say goodbye to feeling alone and hello to a supportive community of dental billing professionals. Here's what you'll get: monthly billing-focused meetings with peers and experts, business building sessions to elevate your career, resource libraries tailored for billers and billing company owners, introductions to cutting-edge RCM technologies and companies, and a vibrant community for networking and support. Ready to transform your dental billing experience? Visit dentalrevenuenetwork.com today. Don't wait. Join us now and navigate the business of RCM with confidence. I love this. So I'm hoping that more dentists I know that there are plenty of you that listen. I appreciate that. There is room for you at the advocacy table, at the state association table, the local table. Most of the executive directors and most of the benefit liaisons in these societies, they typically hear from the same voices over and over again. They want to hear from fresh voices. So get in there, and let us know how you're going, how you're doing with it. And how do people reach you, Dr. Christie? And I know, if they join DRN, they could reach you straight through chat, but yeah, if they're not, how can people find you?
Yeah, I guess you might post my website, but DRN is best. I don't have any formal way to be reached yet except my website. Maybe in the future we will share other things. I do envision at some point maybe, you and I traveling around to dental schools, giving a talk in April before they graduate in May, right? And I think if it was a dentist and if it was us together with our energy and our positivity, we could scare them a little bit and inform them a little bit. Like, hey, I would be the one like, hey, you're about to get out there and she knows and you're not going to believe she knows right now. And I get that because you haven't done it, right? But I think there is a position there where that our forces unite, right? Mm-hmm. And we bridge that gap. So when these dentists get out and then they start meeting the hurdles we know they're going to meet, they fall on something like DRN because I want it to be trusted and vetted and proven, right? So that's a cool thing. I also want to encourage everyone to not accept virtual payments.
Oh my God.
Call you a network provider. Never. Okay. These are the pearls. So they listen to the episode. So no virtual payments. You don't have to take them if you don't want. I take all paper checks only still today. Not saying that has to be, but you have choices here, right? Same thing. Everyone opt out. You're automatically opted in.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know this. Okay. These are the biggest pearls I'll share. Any insurance that you think you're newly seeing, you were opted in somewhere probably with a leased network. Look at Cigna's new leased network, right? Mm-hmm. Stay hot on it. But yeah, don't take virtual payments. Opt out if you want. Get information.
Yeah.
Try to get involved. You might get more than you think when you get involved. I think that's the message, right? It feels far away. It feels burdensome. It feels useless. That's how it feels. But then when you do it and you hear them say, I'll consider that. You're like, oh, well, at least they're going to consider it. I mean, it's just the world opens, right?
Well, and what a high you must have been on. I mean, honestly, I remember having conversations too, and they would say, oh my gosh, we never realized that. And I would be like, oh my gosh, I did something, and those are great feelings. I mean, you really should be patting yourself on the back. I'm so proud of you. I really am. And I'm hoping that I hear from other dentists that have the same sort of conversations with insurance companies and share that, because once people think, if all people see is a big wall, of course you're not going to want to climb it. So let's pull back the curtain a little bit more. So I am so thrilled that you shared all of this, with the podcast audience. And I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you about this nerding out and stuff. And let us know if there are any other like big changes that you're aware of or that you're being a part of in the future. We'll have you come back on, maybe give us some regular how to do this legislatively, like that kind of update. I think that would be great. So thank you so much, Dr. Christie, for being on.
Thank you so much. And any dentist that thinks they need this help, please reach out to Teresa, my website, DRN. We really are here to share information.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Teresa.
Absolutely. And dear listeners, as always, I so appreciate that you take your time, you listen to me. And if you're interested in Dental Revenue Network, the information is going to be in the show notes. And, if you are geeking out and you're here until the end, you probably would really enjoy it. So thank you so much for listening.
If you learned something new today, subscribing is the best way to support the channel and keep learning with us.
We're all super busy, so thank you for making time for me today. The show notes will have any links that we referenced in the episode. You can also find links for my book, events, and my online insurance course, Dental Insurance Design and Management. I speak often around the country on management and insurance issues. Come hang out with me in one of my classes. I promise you'll laugh and learn.